All right, now it is my honor to introduce the Puyallup Tribal Council member, Annette Bryan. Councilmember Bryan is serving her second term as a tribal council member. Her previous work experience includes 10 years as a tribal coordinator at the EPA and 10 years as the executive director of the Puyallup Nation Housing Authority. She has dedicated her career to advocacy of Native American issues and tribal sovereignty. Annette has been a leader in the tribe's fight against Puget Sound Energy's current fracked gas facility on their ancestral lands. And it is an absolute honor to have her here tonight. So Councilmember Annette, I will pass it off to you.
Haxlahale, Si'iyab, De'ishad, Annette Bryan Tizda. Good day, my honorable friends and relatives. My name is Annette Bryan, and I am a member of the Puyallup Tribe, but more importantly, a very proud enrolled member of the Puyallup Tribe of Indians. And I've lived on my reservation for the majority of my life, which is in the heart of Tacoma. It's in the heart of the Tacoma Tide Flats, which was built on top of our ancestral homelands and our traditional village sites. There was at one time 23 Superfund sites listed from the Environmental Protection Agency and the Washington State Department of Ecology right on the Tide Flats on our reservation. There was a time when we could not collect seafood, which our ancestors used to say and our elders say, when the tide was out, the table was set. And we would gather our shellfish and fish in our river. We're river people, we're fish people. And so our land was desecrated and railroads were built. Our land was stolen from us. You can see deeds where there's an X on the deed of land when land was transferred from Native American who would die by alcohol poisoning or a railroad accident, and their land was taken. And so we have a lot of trauma that we have experienced that's just scratching the surface. This particular conversation tonight has to do with the liquefied natural gas plant that is also being situated on the Tacoma Tide Flats without the consultation, meaningful consultation to the Puyallup Tribe of Indians. So the Puyallup Tribe of Indians is a sovereign nation. We do enjoy a federal trust relationship, the government to government relationship with our federal government. We do have a treaty. We have signed it. And so that is why we are so unique. In addition to the fact that we have always been here and we will always be here. And so we also have the settlement agreement on the Tide Flats that requires consultation when projects are going to be done that modifies any kind of land use on our reservation. So this consultation for a project this big with the liquefied natural gas plant that's 250,000 to 500,000 gallons production a day requires meaningful consultation, and that did not happen in this project. How I noticed that the liquefied natural gas plant was being built is I was driving my son up around the neighborhood one day in 2015 and saw some people picketing up in Northeast Tacoma, which is where I live. And so I pulled over because some of his friends were there, said, "What are you guys picketing about?" And they told me there's building a liquefied natural gas plant. Well, I'd never heard this. And so we started picketing and we started joining, went to a couple of, one downtown and a couple here in the neighborhood. And then on 2016, I got elected to the tribal council. So of course I did my homework to find out if the city of Tacoma, the port of Tacoma, or Puget Sound Energy ever tried to reach out to the tribe or meaningfully consult with the Puyallup Tribe of Indians on this project. And of course, as you can guess, they did not. So our tribe then became very active in it. Legal counsel was hesitant to let us talk about it too much because we pulled every legal lever that we could pull all along the way. and we continue to pull every legal lever that we can pull. Currently, we're preparing a hearing for the Washington State Pollution Control Hearings Board to challenge the permit issued by the Puget Sound Clean Air Agency. And, as if we don't have enough to do trying to keep people safe during a pandemic, we are fighting these people in court who want to add more toxic chemicals and pollution to our reservation. Okay, so when you look at the Puyallup tribe and who we are people who are trying to revitalize our culture. We have our beautiful earth that we always thank. We thank our Mother Mountain for giving us water, for giving us life. Water is life. We honor our fish with the first fish ceremony. We are fishing people. We celebrate our canoe journeys, which are have resurged in the last 20, 25 years. And our slide, this one is, which of these is not like the others? This situated on our ancestral homelands, and every single picture you see here was taken in the same location. Does this liquefied natural gas plant, fracked gas plant, does not belong here. So we oppose this because it is our treaty protected fisheries, and they will put detrimental impacts on this. And we also believe and know that this plant has not been fully evaluated. And we believe it poses a significant safety and environmental risks. In the last, I'd say, year or two, there have been 2 to 3 to 4 different fires in the tide flats. We have also known that the city of Tacoma is asking the Puyallup tribe to help fund the fire station down in the tide flats because they're considering closing it down. So we just don't believe that this safety analysis was adequate, and we don't believe that this is a safe place to put this tank. The review and permitting process was inadequate at best, and by the time the tribe found out the environmental impact statement was even being done, it was pretty much finalized. And there's just a large potential for disaster at every stage of the activities at this new gas plant. We know that in Seattle, a liquefied fracked gas pipeline group blew up in a neighborhood, and they did not have enough insurance. This was just in 2016. They did not have enough insurance to make the neighborhood whole after the damages were done. Imagine what 500,000 gallons a day of fracked gas can do. We've challenged the shorelines permit issue that was issued by the Department of Ecology, and under the Clean Water Act, the Coastal Zone Management Act, the SEPA with the State of Department of Ecology, the Puget Sound Clean Air Agency permit with the Pollution Control Hearings Board. And we have demanded that the city of Tacoma does a supplemental environmental impact statement, simply because there have been changes to this facility. And we believe that the changes are significant enough to warrant a supplemental environmental impact statement. And we've also talked with our federal agencies, and I'm going to talk about greenwashing and show you just an excerpt from a letter from Puget Sound Energy to talk about how they say all these agencies are involved, but they're just lies. They really went through the city of Tacoma and bypassed everything. Ecology did their water permit, Puget Sound Clean Air Agency did their air permit, but they really, they just lie. They just lie. Where do we stand now? This is an outdated slide. Like I said, we are preparing for a hearing in April. The hearing was continued, obviously, because of the pandemic, but the tribe has had to fight vigorously for the technical materials underpinning the assumptions provided by Puget Sound Energy. And we actually won that discovery challenge. And now we have thousands and thousands of pages. They're hoping to bury us with information. And we're going to use that information to the best of our ability. We have a lot of people strumming through boxes and boxes of documents that were provided to show that their information just is not true. We do have significant concerns that PSC is utilizing self-serving assumptions with regards to their air emissions that bring the facility under less scrutiny as a minor source. And it may be actual emissions. We just believe they're using outdated information, which is why this today is so important, and what we're talking about is so important, that these, the gap rule and this discussion that we're having, we really need to make sure that we're using current data, that data that they analyze, and that it's from cradle to grave, that it's the life cycle of the entire fracking process and not just what sits in the tank. This process, this isn't about fracking today, but this process is so damaging to Mother Earth. It contaminates mostly communities of color and Indigenous people who are not at the table. That does need to be rebuilt. And it is just important that we continue this fight. And I want to say that the Puyallup tribe, so the council's pulling every legal lever, but the members, the Puyallup tribal members, also put boots on the ground and form the water warriors. And so we're fighting this from every single angle. We do not want this. We were not consulted. We do not feel it's safe, and we are not being heard. So one thing that's really exciting and beautiful is how we come together, those of us who want to do the right thing for Mother Earth and put people first, you know, just for humanity. And so through the Water Warriors, we were able to just make relationships with so many allies. Here are some of the tribes that were standing with the some of the tribes standing with us, as well as some of the other folks. And I really love what was said by the last presenter about explaining what the fight is. So yeah, we want you to come march with us. A lot of people called us to come to them, and we had to figure out how do we all fit into this together. But what's really important is that everyone who was there had a different angle, and we're going to fight it from every single angle, and we're going to win, right? But I really love what was said about when you want an ally to come with you, what is it that you want? It looks good when you stand next to me, but why are we standing next to each other? And what does it mean? I really like that. Our friends, when we work with everybody, and we're stronger together. And so this is one of the demonstrations. I wasn't at this particular demonstration, but I just love that the Water Warriors with the allies went to the Puget Sound Energy doorway and blocked it. And I just, a lot of different actions, and a lot of people stood together. We also were able to have the first government to government meeting in the Seattle City Council chambers ever. As a result of this, they heard us, listened to us, let the Puyallup Tribal Council and Water Warriors come into their commission meeting. We have been to the Tacoma Human Rights Commission to present, and got support from them. Jay Inslee finally came out against fracked gas, and Bob Ferguson, the Attorney General of Washington, also supported the process, that the process was not responding to commenters, not just the tribe, but all of us. People up in this neighborhood, people who live around here, people in Tacoma. There are so many schools and daycares and elders facilities and human beings within the vicinity of this plant. It is just unacceptable. So the Attorney General of Washington agreed the city of Tacoma is not listening to the comments of the people. National Congress of American Indians, through resolutions that I myself with other council members went to those meetings when we had such a thing as in-person meetings, and brought language for resolutions and lobbied the resolutions through committee to get passed by the National Congress of American Indians, as well as the affiliated tribes of Northwest Indians. This is one of our council women and Water Warriors talking to someone of our allies, by the facility. This is our tribe's marina. This is where we have boats parked. You know, that's a use that we felt was de minimis to the environment and one of our businesses. And then look, there's that plant. We had an ammonia leak that's near this plant, and everybody had to be evacuated. What's going to happen when something happens to this plant? So our motto, be kind, be helpful, be sharing. Let's see, we can stop that. Okay, here we're back. I did it, yay. And so, you know, one of the things with greenwashing, as I was saying, I have this letter. It's from Puget Sound Energy to the City of Tacoma Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission this is how they are, right? Big money. If any of you are on here are from PSE, you know this. Big money. You have the money to fight us little people who have no resources. We're very limited in our resources. We can't fight you. But you know what? We're people first. We're going to fight you and we're going to win. And we're going to do it by putting our heads together, making laws that benefit everybody, every living thing. So anyway, it says, the commission's proposed rules would prohibit achieving greenhouse gas reductions emissions. So they're claiming that if the interim regulations at the tide flats, which would keep all permits where they're at, and this is important because expansion happens when these interim regulations just keep going and going. If we make the regulations permanent, then we'll keep it at status quo. And so the other thing that they were saying, I was talking about a little bit earlier, is they list all these agencies that they went to and talked to about their permit. Well, that's hogwash. I can tell you, I personally went to almost every single bullet point in here and talked to these people in person. I went to Washington, D.C. and talked to the U.S. Department of Transportation's Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety. I talked to as many Congress people that would listen. I went to DC and met with the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Environmental Protection Agency. So, and Washington Department of Ecology, met with them. And what the reason I bring this up is they say that they're working with all these agencies. Well, it's just not true, because the agencies I met with and I talked to at the federal and state level said this is a local permit. This is a local permit. So you have to deal with the city of Tacoma. And we did that. And through this fight, we've got some good things accomplished, which, you know, one of our tribal members who may be on this call, you know, Dakota Case, went in with our flag and said this flag should be in our chambers. Well, a couple years later, the Puyallup Tribe of Indians flag flies in the City of Tacoma Council chambers. It's a little step in the right direction, but in terms of their supplemental environmental impact statement for the liquefied fracked gas plant, they've got to do more. You know, we're in a crisis right now, and we have 3 C's going on, and they're all bad. We have COVID, we have climate change, and we have colonialism. And I think we found out during the pandemic that people of color are the most impacted by things like environmental pollution, but also these health conditions, because we have the least resources because of environmental harms, and the fact that sites are put around poor communities and communities of color. We are at more risk for getting sick faster. We know that Indigenous communities during the pandemic had the highest number of cases, largely due to the Navajo Nation. But it's just time that we are, the Puyallup tribe is unique because we are a sovereign nation and we do have a treaty with the federal government. But we're not unique in the sense that we're all human and we're all, you know, people of color tend to live in communities where there's more poverty. So we just, I think someone said it's not an accident that all of these facilities get cited here. And we're woke, right? We need to stay woke. And so I guess what I would say on these regulations is that we just continue to pay attention. And the other thing I hope for, and my goal in the world of regulations and laws and policies, is that we find that we do a cumulative look at siting facilities, so that permits are issued on a cumulative basis, so that when you come into an area like the Tacoma Tide Flats, it is my wish, and I'm putting this into the universe, and I pray to my ancestors and I pray to our creator that we never site another toxic chemical on the Tacoma Tide Flats again. And if you guys know what's there, some of you do, it is scary, it is frightening, and we just cannot tolerate it. We cannot have one more emission. There's stuff that won't be cleaned up in our lifetime, in our kids' lifetime, in my grandkids' lifetime. So with that happy thought, I just want to thank you all for allowing me to speak, and those allies here who've been part of this fight, and the speakers who brought new perspectives to my thinking, and for the hosts for bringing us together on this and helping us educate one another so that we can work together to have the best earth that we can have. Thank you.